Hello and welcome back to the channel, Ninja Turtle, and today we're going to be handling a bunch of customs that I've been doing over the last few months that are kind of small time. They're not full, some of them are, but they're not, they're either too small to have their own video or they're remakes of things that I've already made videos on, and I don't want to make a second video doing the same costume, same character sort of thing. So we're just going to kind of pile it all in one video here and try to go over them, quickly as possible. And yeah, the first one here, which by the way, before I get into this, I will also talk about the future of the channel at the end of the video. Don't worry, it's not gloom and doom. It's just I need to take a break sometime. So this is that video. But let's go ahead and talk about these smaller customs and other things that I've been doing. So yes, Beast here. People have done this. This is not new. So many people have done this like years ago. I think the gray head Beast came out, or the gray body Beast came out years ago, and most people either painted their head blue and put it on the blue body or commissioned someone to do it. I wanted to do the same thing years ago, and I actually started this process years ago when I was still using Model Masters paint. And since then, Model Masters paint has been discontinued, but the reason why I didn't do it then is because I couldn't find the right color blue. Because again, this head was gray before. I couldn't find the right color blue or the right combination of colors to get a blue to match the rest of his body. So I had actually primed the head and was trying actively to do it, and I just like, oh, I'll get to it later. So I left his primed head sitting in my drawer for months to over a year, and I finally, now I'm using Vallejo paint, and I a few months ago went ahead and said, you know what, let's give it another shot with Vallejo paint, and boom, I was able to go ahead and paint. Now it's not a perfect match. Again, I didn't touch his body at all. His body is 100% the way that it was when it was released on the blue body, so that was not touched. It is just the gray head that I painted blue, and it is fully painted in and out. I gotta take it off, but yeah, inside is painted blue as well. Maybe you can see the back part of it better. There you go. Inside is painted blue as well. You see the back has got the hair that's black. The blue on the top of his head is a little bit darker than the rest of his face, and that's intentional. Because that's just kind of how I saw his original head painted, so that's how I decided to approach this one. Just regular black on the eyebrows and on the rest of his hair, and I did my best to avoid painting his eyes, so that way his eyes are the way that they were originally on that gray head. And yeah, added a flat finish, which I'm glad also I didn't finish this a year and a half ago, because I probably would have put Mod Podge on it and his face would have been really shiny and full of glue and really looked off compared to the rest of the body. But it has a flat finish, maybe a matte finish of a different, it's not Mod Podge, but you know, just a different finish, so that way it doesn't stand out. It looks pretty much in line with the rest of the finish of the figure. So I'm very happy with how that turned out, and I'm so glad that I waited to finish it, because it would have been pretty bad and would have had to have done it over again. Secondly, although this one isn't as impressive as this, but I still want to cover it really quickly. So I made a Colossus figure a while back that is Colossus without being transformed, him and his more fleshy side, just in a regular costume. I would love to repaint that, side note, but I don't think it's going to happen. But when I used that, I used the head from a Magneto figure, but before I made that figure, that Colossus, I actually made a resin copy, or a copy and a mold of that Magneto head, just in case I want to use it for future customs. But I ended up doing the stupid thing and using the original Magneto head on that Colossus, so I don't I didn't have the original head anymore to put back on a Magneto figure. I didn't think much of it because I was using the more angry face for my Magneto anyway, not the relaxed face that I used for the Colossus, but that left me without a relaxed face for Magneto. So I was able to, let's get this in closer. All right. I went ahead and made a resin copy of, I don't know if we're going to focus. There we go. I made a resin copy, and here it is, the relaxed face for Magneto, repainted by myself. So right now, I'm going to get Beast out of here because he's all going to mess up the focus and everything. But right now, this is truly, as you see inside, a resin copy. I haven't glued this on yet, so I can actually take this out. And yeah, you can see it's a resin copy. It's not the full-on Hasbro plastic or anything like that. It fits in here just well because it's relatively copied the same as it was before. So all of the pegs and stuff on the inside of here are still going to fit on this head. I didn't paint, usually on male figures, at least from what I've seen, they don't paint eyeliner or eye lines, eyelashes and stuff on the male faces, so I didn't do that here. His eyes are still a little crazy and a little big, but for what it's worth, it works okay for me. I'm never gonna claim that it's perfect. I'm still on the fence if I want to actually glue this in, because I might repaint it one day. It's to make the eyes a little tighter or change the skin tone. Other things, you know, I don't have a use for this head anyway, but I decided to just go ahead and do it, and yeah, it looks okay. I'm all right with that. All right, next up, that Hot Claws Wolverine. That's what this figure is. Hot Claws Wolverine, but I fixed the Hot Claws so that they're not Hot Claws anymore. Sorry if you heard a chime, doorbells and stuff. Hot Claws Wolverine is not Hot Claws anymore. I painted those claws, I took them out and just painted them a dark gray color, and stuck them right back in there. And then his shoulder pads were black. I painted them a nice dark blue. It very closely matches the rest of his suit. So Hot Claws Wolverine is now Astonishing Wolverine, because I didn't have one before. I'm so glad that they, even though, you know, I have to go down the route of customizing and whatnot, I didn't have the previous release of the Astonishing Wolverine. The only one I ever had was the Toy Biz one, and the Toy Biz one is like super scrawny and all that. I got rid of it years ago, and I was planning on making an Astonishing Wolverine using whatever customs, you know, I can get and figure it out and get there at some point. But then I saw Hot Claws and I was like, oh, I can do two things, which I just said, repaint the claws and repaint the shoulder pads, and it's perfect, and it is. So Hot Claws Wolverine, that's a super easy custom to do. Yeah, you don't have to wait on Hasbro to re-release this figure unless you really want it to be pinless, which they probably will do that too, but you know, I don't need it, and you know, I don't need it to be pinless. At least this is fine for me, this works. So this is on my Marvel vs. Capcom collection because in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Wolverine is wearing his Astonishing costume as his default colors, so default costume. So I actually have 3 Wolverines up there. We'll talk about that collection again one day, I promise you. But let's go ahead and move on. We're going to go back to Jean Grey, because I did talk about this in my previous Jean Grey video, but I didn't really talk about it at length, and that is my complete remake of X-Men Red Jean Grey. So it is a complete remake. The previous version I have a whole video on dedicated to it, so if you want to watch that video, you can go back and check that out, about how I made the other Jean Grey. And I'm not going to go super detail into this one, but for what it's worth, this one's shorter because we have shorter legs. We have different legs entirely, right? So before I was using legs from off the Ant-Man and the Wasp figure. These legs are from the MCU Captain Marvel figure. Thighs, hips, knees, legs, including the shoes. Everything down here is from that Captain Marvel figure. I went with it specifically because of the knees having this little pointed piece to them. Like, that's how how this figure's knees are. They're like kind of an armored piece. And then the shoes or whatever, I didn't care. There's a bunch of detail on those Captain Marvel shoes and boots down here. I left most of that detail on here. I only dremeled off a little bit on the boot, but for the most part, the detail is still there. And I just painted over all of it and then painted these black lines going around because I think that looks cool. And for what it's worth, another big difference between this and my previous version is I did not sculpt the armor onto her torso. I painted it on. That's why you see these black lines here on the thighs and on her stomach and so on. That is the biggest difference on the torso, the upper torso and the lower torso. All of it is just painted on. The arms before had one of these are the same. I think these are the same hands, right? I think I took them from yeah, they're the same ones from that previous one, but these are just regular Kate Bishop arms. The other one had like the I think they were moonstone arms. They had like the bracers on it or whatever. I think this looks more accurate actually to the way it's supposed to be. Lastly, the shoulder pads. I had took plastic and glued it to her shoulder before. That stuff was falling off because it was barely on her shoulder, or like her traps area. So now I took hard sculpt and sculpted onto her actual shoulder on the outside. So it does, she can't T-pose at all because it's too much sculpt there, but she can still swing it forward just fine, if so she really needs her hands up, she can swing it forward, but she's not T-posing at all. But I like the way it looks in general because it does look more accurate to her comic look. Lastly, it's a different head. Before I was using, it's not this one specifically because I put it back, but before I was using this head on the original version of this from the Love Triangle pack with the dark hair, not this stupid orange one. But I was using this head on this figure before, and that's not accurate. I didn't realize that at the time, or maybe I didn't care, I don't know, but she has this, the cowl going around her face, but that's not accurate to how X-Men Red. She has more of an armored look around her face. So I'm going to run around and use the Age of Apocalypse Jean Grey face, added the armor, and then used the same hair that I always love using, which is the Julia Carpenter Spider-Woman. I always say that. Julia Carpenter Spider-Woman hair, and repainted that with the scarlet red paint that I like using for Jean. And that is that. That is a quick overview for X-Men Red Jean. And lastly, another figure that I mentioned in a previous video of Jean Grey is my Dark Phoenix Emma. Which, has Emma ever been the Dark Phoenix? Well, if you didn't know, first off, I'm not gonna have her stand because heels, Hasbro heel. So I'll just hold her like this. Hasbro heels stink. In fact, actually, one of the things I was doing, well, first off, let's just go ahead and talk about the heels. So yeah, these are just regular heels that they have on, like Shikla or whatever. They're black. I repainted them deep yellow Vallejo paint. It is a very close match to the yellow that is on this figure, so I'm happy with that. I painted like 10 coats of yellow on there. It's not perfect. It takes forever for this stuff to even look yellow, let alone be bright yellow and perfect. But one of the things I was doing on my displays is I kind of had her sitting like so. So yeah, I kind of have her sitting like that on my display anyway, so let's just go ahead and do that. But yes, this is using the Dark Phoenix body, the more recently released one, so clearly, you know, that one, this one. Keep it easy and simple, and yeah, that's where the inspiration came from, to have it match my new X-Men Jean Grey, because she was cheating on she was with Cyclops, and Cyclops was cheating on Jean with Emma, and when Emma was with Cyclops, he was impersonating Jean, like he dressed up as Jean. You're not impersonating her, as Dark Phoenix. So I decided to kind of have this as a recreation, super quick and easy. So this is just a head swap basically, and a shoe swap. So the head is now the Emma Frost head from the Walgreens Emma Frost, with the hair coming from Dark Star. So this is all Dark Star's hair that I ripped off of that figure, repainted, and then it doesn't fit perfectly, or it actually fits really well, but it would still leave a gap because Dark Star has that headpiece. So there was a little bit of a gap, and you can see a little bit of the epoxy sculpt that I put in there to fill in that gap right there, and then just repainted it. I'm really happy with the color that that came out on this, because I was going for platinum blonde, and I think this is a pretty nice attempt at platinum blonde. Certainly not perfect, maybe it can be a little bit lighter, but the other versions of Emma that I made recently was just a pale yellow color, and this looks a lot better than that. So that is it. I think that's it for customs and stuff. Yeah, I think that's all of it. So let's back this thing up. We're done with this part, so let's go ahead and move on to the next section. And that is basically, I'm going to talk about the future of the channel really quickly. Once again, it's that time of the cycle, whatever. I've made so many customs over the last couple of months, although it's not that many videos. It's been, as I explained a few months ago, that I want to make more customs of one character at one time, as opposed to do a bunch of different characters over the course of time and then only do one costume. So I've made like 4 Sabrinas, I made the 2 Jean Greys just now, I made 4 Emma Frosts and 4 Storms and all of that, 2 Ritsuko Akagi's, and so on, 2 Black Cats at one time. Just a whole lot of materials, a whole lot of time put into these things, even though it wasn't a whole lot of different characters or videos. That said, it's time for me to take a break. One, because it has been since, I think, September since I've been making customs again. So I haven't played any video games at all, like hardly at all, since then. And I have quite a bit of my queue is backing up. I want to play I'm still working on Fire Emblem, well, I haven't started Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes yet, so I will be playing that soon. And they've released another Fire Emblem game since then, and I haven't started that. I don't even have it. I don't even have God of War, Ragnarok, or Final Fantasy Crisis Core. I don't have that either, and so obviously I haven't started that, and I don't even know if I will anytime soon. Bayonetta 3, I have to play that. I do have that, and some other things. So I'm going to be working on some gaming for the next couple of weeks and months. Resident Evil 4 specifically is the reason why I'm taking this break, so I can play this right when it comes out and be ready when I come back to make some Resident Evil customs, specifically Ada and Ashley, and we'll see if anyone else can get fit in there. But we'll talk about what I make in the future. Just like last time, I took a break and I came back and explained what I was going to be making for the next session. So I'll do that again when we get closer to when I come back. When I come back, I don't know exactly when. So Resident Evil 4 comes out at the end of March. I don't imagine I'll be playing it for months at a time. So it'll probably take about a week or two to finish, but I'm not necessarily going to come back when I'm done with that game. So I don't know when I'll be back. Another reason I'm taking a break is so I can acquire more materials. I'm actually out of thighs, like the thighs that I used to make these figures. I don't have any more left at all, and I use them very often. The last set, this last wave of figures that I've been making, I've been actually making a lot of more curvier, taller figures for the ladies. So I've been using some big legs. I'm all out of those, but and that's why I made who I made, because it was like a perfect match of I'm all out of legs. But the next wave of figures mostly are very thin, shorter girls, and I need thinner, shorter legs, a lot of them. So I'm going to spend the next couple of months trying to stack up on those and getting all the body parts and stuff that I need: legs, arms, heads, hair, etc. I also don't have any more Procreate putty, so I can't sculpt hair. That's one reason why this looks like this, because I couldn't sculpt it myself. I was able to be a little ingenuitive, or whatever the word is, to make this. But for what it's worth, I don't have any more Procreate putty. I'm almost out of epoxy sculpt. I don't have a lot of materials that I normally would use. There's a bunch of heads that I need to copy to make resin copies of, and I don't have the materials to do that with, and I don't have the money to buy any of that stuff right now. So I'm going to be working a little bit more just to get some more money to buy some more stuff, to get my things together, personal life stuff, etc., and then be hopefully coming back in a few months and being very ready to go. I do want to also, when I come back, be remaking a lot of figures that I've made previously, which you've already seen. Like I said, I made the X-Men Red Jean Grey before, and I've already remade it just now. I'm going to be doing that a lot over the course of the next few months, years, or however long it takes. Specifically, my very first figure will be up very soon. The very first one I ever made was Rachel Summers, and yeah, I've come a long way since then, and I'm gonna remake that one, and so that will be really fun. I can't wait to do that, and I'll do other Rachel Summers figures as well while I'm making her. And of course, I have my Dark Phoenix. You know, a lot of people have been doing this with Dark Phoenix and turning her into Rachel Summers. I'm going to do the exact same thing, but it won't be the exact same thing. Well, you'll see that in a few months. But yeah, I'm out of here, man. Like, I do appreciate anyone who's liked and subscribed to and has liked my videos, like, subscribe to the channel, leaving positive comments, just checking the stuff out, especially if you're still watching at this point. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will be back. I'm not done by any stretch of the imagination. I have more small customs and small mods that I want to make. I was supposed to have done some stuff with Spider-Man and my Micron pen, but I haven't worked on that yet. And other things. There'll be more small things. There'll be more big things. Bigger and better projects on the way. More Pokemon stuff. More anime stuff. And more X-Men stuff. I need to jump on that Psylocke and get back on making more Psylocks. And yeah, you'll see all of that hopefully over the course of 2023. And if I'm lucky, you'll see Persona 5 things, because I'm itching for that to get worked on, and Fire Emblem. So I will see you guys whenever I get back. Hopefully by the summer, but we'll see. No promises, but please be good to each other, and be patient for more content on this channel, because it will come. And always hit me up on Twitter if you're curious or just want to talk. I'm at Ninja Chortle. And yeah, one thing I might do is post on social media, specifically on Instagram, especially if you're still here at this point. All of this stuff, like last year when I made my video, I was posting what I was cleaning up and stuff I will do that again because I need to update my collections and show that off so you guys can see a little bit of what's going on over there. Things have changed since the last time I've shown this area. You can see my Pokemon stuff has expanded. I've got a bunch of anime things. So yeah, some of it needs to be cleaned up. You can see there's been an accident here and down there. But yeah, it's all... I'm going to be very, very soon getting Evangelion, Unit 1, Unit 2, and Unit 3 very soon. So that's going to be really nice. But yeah, all that's going to get worked on pretty soon. So I will see you guys. And like I said, on social media, I'll be posting over the course of the next couple months each of these shelves after I clean them up and reorganize everything, so you guys can see a better look at what's going on with my collections. So be nice, be good, and I will see you guys later. Peace.